Hello everyone, I am Vikas from Small Academy and welcome to another video on Android note-taking application development with Firebase. So in the last video we talked about creating a notes, uploading them to the Firebase. In this video we're gonna add some extra features to that. Let me show you what we did on the last video. So in the last video we added this new activity called add note activity, and whenever somebody click on this add note button from the navigation bar, they'll go back to the add note here. They can add new notes and they can save it. Now in this video I'm gonna add the floating button here as well, so that whenever we click on the add button here will be redirected to the add note activity. So let me go back to the Android Studio here, and to add the floating button we need to add the floating button element to our activity. So to add the floating button activity, I'm gonna go back to the main activity here. So in the resource layout and active content main is the file where we have the all our content for the activity main. So here I'm gonna add the floating button. So to add the floating button, I'm gonna go to the one of this file, activity add note, and here we have this floating button. So I'm going to copy the source code for this floating button from here. So copy this and go back to the content main and paste it here. And let's go back to the design. I'm going to fix the constraint for this into our activity, and I'm going to set the 16 dp of margin on the left and bottom, right and bottom. So this is the icon that we want. Now I want to change this icon here from save icon to edit icon or add icon. So I'm gonna go to the drawable here, and we already have the add icon. So here you can see the add circle black. So I'm gonna change that using the source compat here, and I'm gonna select that and add it here, but it is having this different background color. So I'm gonna see if we have the plus button with the white background. Okay, we do have this one, so I'm gonna add this instead of that, and I'm gonna change this to maximum size of 35 dp. Now this looks fine. I'm gonna change the ID as well. Okay, now in the main activity, now I can handle the click on this button. So let me go back to the main activity, and just after this set adapter, I want to add the code to handle the click on that floating button. We already have that code here in the add node, so I'm just going to copy that code from here. Okay, copy it, go back to the main activity, paste it here, and I'm going to fix some issues here. Okay, and change this ID to the one we have given, add node float. Okay, let's fix this by adding this. Now I can add the block of code that will execute when we click on the add node. So whenever we click on that add icon, I want to send user to the add new activity, right? So similarly I'm going to start new activity here like how we had done before. So instead of writing that, I can actually copy that code from here and paste it here. Okay, now I need to change this to view .get context. Okay, now whenever somebody click on that icon, it will start new activity. So I'm going to run this application in my phone and we will see the difference. The application is running. So here you can see we have this icon now, and whenever I click on this, it will send me to the add note activity. But in the final application, actually we don't have this back button yet. Instead we have the close cancel button here. Okay, so I'm going to remove this back button from here and add the cancel button here. So whenever user don't want to save the note, they can actually directly cancel this. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you can left it as it is. To add the icon here, I'm just going to create the new menu layout, and inside that I'm going to add the close button. So let me go here and create new menu resource file and close nav, or I'll just say close menu, click on OK. Now here I'm gonna drag and drop one menu item and give the ID as close, and name is close as well. So now I'm gonna select the one on close icon here, and let me see if I have that icon here already. Yeah, we do have this close icon, so I'm gonna select that, and from this show as action I'm going to select always, and it will display that icon here, okay, like that. So now this menu is created. I'm gonna go back to the add note activity here, add note class. To display that menu in the toolbar, I need to override on create options menu, as I have shown you guys previous in the main activity when we added that setting options menu on the toolbar. So similarly, I'm going to create on create options menu, and I can write the similar code here. So menu inflator, if you remember that code from the second part of this tutorial, get menu inflator. Now I'm going to inflate the layout that we have just created, r.menu.close menu, and pass the menu, right? And to handle the click on that menu option or menu item, we need to override the on options item created, sorry, on options item selected. So just like that, if item.getItemID is equals to r.id.close, that means the close button is clicked. I'm just going to on back pressed and display the message that note is not saved. Okay, so toast message, okay, not saved. You can give any other message that you want to display here. Okay, and now I need to remove that back button, so I'm gonna go here at the top and remove this get support action bar dot set display home as op enabled. Okay, so I'll remove that, and I'm gonna run this application. Okay, the app is running now, and I'm gonna click on this plus button, and now we don't have the back button, but we do have this close button here instead. So if I click on this, it's just going to display the message not saved and go back to the main activity. Okay, so that is what exactly we wanted. Now we do have notes collection in the Firebase, and we also have the option to add the note in the Firebase as well. So finally I'm going to query the Firebase collection and display that note here instead of this sample data. Okay, so let's do that now. So to be able to query the database and display the data in recycler view, we need to use a special UI class of Firestore that is called firebase-ui and firebase-core. So we need to have that dependencies in our application, and we need to add that manually. So if I go to my build.gradle file here, I have added two separate dependencies called firebase-core and firebase-ui-firestore. So we need these two extra dependencies in our application. So I'm gonna leave these dependencies in the description of this video. You go there and copy this and paste it here just after this material design and sync the project. Once the project is synced, we are ready to go ahead. Okay, so now I'm gonna close all this opened thing that we don't need. So now in the main activity, because main activity is where we are displaying our recycler view with the sample data, right? So here I'm gonna create the instance of Firestore first, because if we are going to start query the Firestore database, we need the instance of Firestore, right? So I'm going to create instance of Firestore by creating the Firestore variable here. So Firebase Firestore and fstore, just like how we did in the previous videos. And here I'm going to get the instance of Firestore.get instance, right? Now we need to query the database. So to query the database, we can write the query and give the variable name query, and using the instance of Firestore database, I can get the collection where we want to query the data. So the collection we want to query is called notes, because it contains all the notes that we have ever created in the Firestore. And now I can query the data based on some order. So I'm gonna give some order by here. We don't need to give this actually, but I'm gonna give, because in the original application I have sorted the nodes based on the creation date, but for now we don't have the creation date. We have only title and content in the document field. So I'm gonna sort this based on the title, and here we need to specify the direction. So I'm gonna specify the descending as the direction for the query. And here after the query is created, now I need to actually execute this query using the Firebase firestore option. So firestore recycler options. Okay, so we need to use firestore recycler option to execute this query that we have just created. So Firebase recycler options take one class or model of class using which we are going to extract the data from the Firebase. So we don't have that class created right now, so I'm gonna go to the package here and create new class. So in this model I'm gonna create new class called node, and this node will have the fields that will retrieve the data from the firestore.